Cynthia was asking about how to find time for the writing in public when there's all these other things that need to get done. And we're going to talk a little bit about the specifics of that in Monday's class, but I wanted to go more general and talk about the way to think about all this stuff when you're getting overwhelmed and there's so much to do and oh my gosh. So when you think about your book tasks, you don't need to do everything. There's some essential stuff that you have to do. Like you can't get around writing and revising, right? That's essential, non-negotiable. And if you want anyone to buy it, you can't get around some amount of seed marketing. But there's a lot. You don't need to do the optimal version of seed marketing, which is going to be very time consuming, right? You could do a bare minimum version like I did for Workshop Survival Guide, or you could be more optimized, like depending on where you're at in your life and how excited you are and how much free time you have. So you have a lot of flexibility with these things. Similarly, beta reading, I think it's kind of essential if you want your book to succeed to do at least a couple of rounds of beta reading, one or two, but you don't need to build a big repeatable system. You don't need to be able to attract loads of strangers to your manuscript. You probably have enough people in your extended network to get through the beta reading, right? Or you can, some authors, they want hundreds of beta readers, it's part of their marketing, and they do a very optimized version. You got choices there, right? Um, so stuff like author platform and writing in public, and in particular writing in public as a way to build an author platform before the book has come out, is super optimized. It is definitely the optimal way to sell a lot of books and to start building this long-term asset that's going to be valuable for your career, but it is not essential in any way. Writing in public has a lot of benefits. It will give you a supply of beta readers. So writing in public makes your beta reading easier. Writing in public fuels the author platform. It can help with your seed marketing. All of this stuff is nice, but just because it's nice doesn't mean you have to do these optimal tasks, right? Because they're not necessary for the book to succeed. And like, who cares if the book could theoretically have sold more copies faster in some alternate universe where you had infinite time and infinite interest in these activities? Because the reality is we don't. So the extra constraints that I would add to this is it practical? Like, do the activities fit into my life? That can be clock time, like hours in the day. It can be calendar time, days in the month, months in the year, whatever. Do I have the skills already? Is it easy for me to do? And is it energizing or enjoyable? Writing a book is a long haul. So if you're picking activities, like let's say that you hate the idea of writing in public, or you hate the idea, like me, of building an email list. Well, even though author platform, I'll use my example because I can speak to it truly. I do not like sending bulk emails. It makes me really uncomfortable. I just don't enjoy it, right? It has a disproportionate emotional cost for me. As irrational as it is, doesn't matter. Um, and so no matter how much I know intellectually that author platform is optimal and is something I should be doing, it is anti-energizing for me. It has such a high emotional cost that it ends up taking a lot more time than it should. And so I just don't do it, even though I know it's optimal. Because I'm like, well, it's not energizing, it's not practical for me, whatever. And I'm willing to sacrifice that bit of optimal in exchange for something that I can actually do and keep doing and be happy about and feel good. Um, Writing in public, I'm a little more comfortable with. I don't do an optimized version. I do a pretty suboptimal version. We'll talk about this in Monday's class, like, what your wiggle room is and how you can pick and choose. You don't have to do these things all or nothing. Sometimes you can be like, I'll do that one little thing and it's better than nothing, but I'm not going to worry about getting all the way up to super theoretically optimal. You're not a robot. You're not a big business. You don't have infinite resource. So I think part of the trick is like, um, identifying the piece of the process that you really enjoy, that you draw energy from, and make sure that those stay in your day or your week because they refill you. So for me, I really enjoy the beta reading. So I tend to do a lot of beta reading. Not that I enjoy sending out emails or asking people to do it, but I love hearing comments from my readers. Getting comments from my readers, even if my readers are confused, it really fills me up because I'm like, wow, people are reading this. They care enough to tell me it's not working for them. I'm going to make it better. This is great. So I find beta reading really energizing. So because of that, I tend to do it more and more aggressively than I would if I found it to be an emotional drain. But that means my beta reading is probably close to the optimal version of beta reading, and I rely on it really heavily in my process. Whereas my author platform, like I just don't do it, because I'm like, it doesn't fit into my process. So I'm introducing all these tools. We're talking about this stuff in the course. We talk about all these approaches and write useful books, but you don't have to do all of them. We're human beings. You gotta decide what's energizing and practical for you, and don't worry if it's not optimal for some theoretical other person, right? It's your book, not theirs, and like there's no comparison to them. Um, so that's how I think about like the emotions. But then for the practicalities, there are some examples of the writing in public stuff that don't take a ton of time and that you can actually fit in pretty easily in 10 minutes at the end of your day or in an hour at the end of your week. And we'll go through some of those examples in Monday's class.